Take a look at my little view. Do you want a piece of my little view, man? I give you a piece of my little view. A Holy Sunday assault of view. Just a point of view. OMG. A wee bit more view bathing. I tree bathe in the morning and view bathe later on in the morning. And look for a road winding down. And they called it a road winding down. One may look this way, or one may look that way. Or one might look into the camera. Well, hello, folks. I had a little head cold for the last few days, neck up, so I'm still out walking and riding and stuff. Not going too far, having a good time. Whew. I wanted to say a little bit about communities, in particular online communities. Some people call them bubbles, silos, cliques, forums, groups, whatever. The mayor of New York City is a socialist, self-proclaimed, I suppose, democratic socialist, and people are excited because of what's going on with Trump. So a great reaction to Trump would be a socialist mayor for New York. But I doubt he'll do anything much because he won't have any power, unfortunately. And that's structural and systemic. And it's not his fault. It's not his voters' fault. But without a real organization behind someone who calls themselves a democratic socialist and an organization full of intellectuals who understand politics and economics and all kinds of details about how to run a city or how to run a state or how to run a country and so on and so forth. It's hard to continually develop the kinds of policies that can translate into things that are getting done for people. We basically, it's game, set, match, I think, for us normal people, because AI is, brain manipulation or persuasion on steroids, and people are fairly easily influenced and programmed, quote unquote. Um, People are aware of this. They have been for generations, propaganda and whatnot. But I think most of us just don't practice the kind of recursive thinking and self-awareness and self-critique and critical thinking, and we're not that science literate or numbers literate. Truth can be a lot of different things, and one can use a lot of different tools to spin truth, to tell truthy stories, or have truthy numbers, or to socially construct truths, or to create stories that become the truth, on and on and on. I'm a truth absolutist in the sense that Uh, I believe the sun's going to go up tomorrow morning, and unless there's some, unforeseen supernova, which is highly unlikely, but even more so, I believe that pigs don't fly. And I think that's demonstrable. And there are many lines of evidence that would lead various experts to come to the same conclusion, that pigs can't fly. And I don't think we have a revolution going on. It's interesting to go back in history and look at other revolutions, or just look at story structure. There's a impactful event, like somebody moves into the neighborhood and it kicks off a story, and then one thing leads to another, cause and effect, and you have a climax and a resolution and all that kind of thing. You look at, World War I, okay, Ferdinand got assassinated, blah, blah, blah. That isn't what caused World War I. That was a trigger, and it's a great trigger for a narrative, but it's not the whole story. A lot of times when I hear historians talk about 1917, they don't talk about workers' movements. They don't talk about communism. They don't talk about socialism. They don't talk about all these things that were going on between workers and the ruling class and imperialists and colonialists and so on, where the real conflict was happening. The British want to hang on to their empire, and other states want to hang on to their empire. Other states want to expand their empire, and so on and so forth. And the workers are just caught up in it. And then they spin stories, nationalist stories, to get the workers all excited to go to war. They go to war, they find out it's hell. They decide they don't like it that much. There's all kinds of pushback, all kinds of protest. We've seen it all before a million times, whatever war we're talking about. You gin up reasons to go to Vietnam. You go to Vietnam, you lose in Vietnam. You do the same thing in Iraq and Afghanistan and other places, and now we do it in Venezuela and Ukraine. We support Israel, on and on and on. And each time, we don't win anything. The players who are betting on the debt financing are winning. They're making lots of money and gaining more control and power and using their resources to try to get more control and power. And it's a big game. Who has more control and power? Who has more money? They keep score like that. We don't do that. You and I, we're just normal people. If we want to fight back, we have to have a coordinated global movement of movements where people are working really, really hard to build something. What are we going to build? I don't know. Do you? Who has the imagination for that? Where are our intellectuals who can articulate these things today when we live in a more or less anti-intellectual climate? Look around. Look at the cultures around the world. You can look at the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, and say, my God, since the 80s, they've really accomplished a lot. And mind you, I first visited China in 1980. So I've seen China. I lived there for decades. I've seen China, parts of China, Japan, Hong Kong, and I've seen it change over the decades. And it's amazing what coordinated people with a certain ideology and certain principles can build. Now, you can not like China for whatever reason, but what they accomplished is amazing. And of course, it's not sustainable in terms of living systems within systems. Nobody's looking at that. We don't really care about that because we're human beings. We're human-centric. We're me-centric. We're our family-centric, our nation-centric. We're about supremacy, about conquering, and we have been for thousands and thousands of years. Some people argue going back 75,000 years. Other people talk about the dawn of civilization, Mesopotamia, all that kind of stuff. That's fine. All cool, interesting stories. They all have like a trigger, a starting point, a beginning, middle, and an end, and we can spin them all day and night. But I don't think we have the right stuff to sacrifice what's required to develop a civilization, especially not a modern techno-industrial, financialized, capitalist, global civilization that's sustainable. It's obviously not. But how long does it take before it becomes so obvious because of starvation and other horrific tragedies and because of war and violence that a lot of people decide, oops, it's time now. We can't stand the humiliation. We can't stand the pain. We're going to do something. Right now, we're going to nurse our addictions. We have a certain amount of attention to give every single day. And I paid a lot of attention this morning to the UFC fights, and I'll probably pay some attention to some NFL games. That's the way I roll. Later on today, I also read books, I study Portuguese, I do a lot of things. I'm out riding my bicycle, making a video, blah, 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 blah. And I have a whole quiver or bubble or library of content producers that produce content that I'm interested in at the moment for now. And I pay attention to them. Everyone's trying very hard to get attention. I want you to watch my video. I want you to share my video. I want you to click like and subscribe and so on. Some people are trying to make a living doing this, and I wish them luck. I hope they can do it because there's a lot of people looking for attention. There's a lot of gurus out there, wannabe gurus. I don't know if you know Daniel Schmachtenberger or Jamie Wheel, or people like that. But there's a lot of sense-making gurus around the world, a lot of anti-guru gurus. There's a lot of religious people, all kinds of, stories like Q, it hasn't gone away, and Republicans and Democrats, and all kinds of things going on around the world. And people are paying attention to all these different things. And some of them are really into one thing or another, They only look at this, they only look at that. They don't have time or space in their attention to look at your stuff. So we're all clamoring, trying to get everyone to look at our stuff. And our stuff is just a derivative of our stuff. So my stuff is derived on all the books and content I'm consuming at the moment. And other people's stuff is derived on the stuff that they're consuming at the moment. Have we really sat down and thought through our intellectual positions, our principles, our beliefs, social theory, whatever it is, or not? And most of us haven't. So we're a bunch of mimics, a bunch of parrots. And, I used to parrot The Economist magazine and Bloomberg Business Week way back in the day. My attention shifted over time, thank God. So, what are we going to do? How do you grab people? What's that defining moment, right? And then you have all these wonderful, benevolent people who do amazing things. They are the trigger for amazing things. Think of Mahatma Gandhi. Think of Martin Luther King. It's not that they caused the independence of India or that movement. It's not that they caused civil rights or made it up. It's that they were a trigger to make it explode socially. And they both got murdered, assassinated. Malcolm X, whatever, go on and on and on. There are many. Political assassination is still a tool of politics. So Gandhi read the Bhagavad Gita. I've read it. You've probably read it. His assassin, I forgot his name off the top of my head, he read the Bhagavad Gita. He went to his death, his execution, with a copy of the Bhagavad Gita. He used the Bhagavad Gita as a great example of why he should kill Gandhi. And Gandhi used to talk about the Bhagavad Gita as a message of peace, that war was really futile and ridiculous, and the battle is within, and so on and so forth. We also have millions and millions, tens of hundreds of millions, billions of people who are focusing on studying the Bible and other scriptures, who have religious ways of life and so on. And this is the focus, the center of their world. Their world is transcendental. They look forward to heaven, life after death, reincarnation. I've often thought reincarnation is very fascinating because, let's say Hitler is reincarnated as what, right? Or who was Hitler before he was, born as Hitler, and so on. And all the reincarnations in Hitler's life as he grew into the man that he became. What were those like? And when you talk about 500 million people on the planet being reincarnated, and then suddenly it's 10 billion people on the planet being reincarnated, it's transmigration of souls. So one guy was an amoeba or a cockroach or maybe a sweet, maybe Fatima, a saint. And she was reincarnated as a serial killer or a gangster in Philadelphia or something, little Joey, and murders people. You have the transmigration of souls. And somehow, by happenstance, by luck, you're supposed to stumble upon Buddhism or Hinduism and figure out how to meditate properly. And you're going to be enlightened and go to nirvana and transcend life, the cycle of life and death and all this stuff. These are all interesting stories. And kind of like Sam Harris often says, every Christian who becomes enlightened becomes a Buddhist, and then they're ostracized because, you know, they become mystical in a different way, right? And, you know, there's mythicism, all this stuff. Anyway, in terms of Christianity, but whatever, you know, people believe a lot of stuff, and people are going to believe things, and people are going to spin truths and truthy truths to help people want to believe certain stuff. And once they believe it, they're going to believe it and adhere to it. And it's going to affect the way they act. It's going to help determine how they behave. And how do you get to that? You know? So what we're going to do is we're going to keep producing and consuming content until we're unplugged. And then we're going to look around ourselves and say, what needs to be done here? This is a mess. In the meantime, the players of the great game 21st century are going to continue amassing power and resources and control. And they are going to play the game. And we're just pawns. It doesn't matter how many of us get destroyed while they play. When the United States goes in for regime change, it's other people's blood and treasure, OPM, like other people's money. And in fact, it's other people's money that they use to finance it. Modern monetary theory, magic, stories, social constructs like Yuval Harari talks about. I'm not a big fan of him, but you know, he's got a point there. And then you have people like Yanis Varoufakis, who's still talking about GDP and the horrible, terrible crash that's coming and all that stuff. Well, yeah, it's cyclical. That's what happens. Why is he talking about it? Because he doesn't want to face biophysical reality either. He doesn't want to look at living systems, complex living systems within living systems. He wants to talk about GDP. Why is that? Because GDP affects all of us all the time, regardless of whether we think about it or not. And even though it's not fit for purpose, not fit for the purposes of creating a healthy living systems within complex systems of which we are part and parcel, or at least integral parts of. And extinction is the rule, as you know, and we're probably, most probably going to go extinct sooner or later. But until then, we want to believe our own bullshit. And so we're going to think that if I quote myself on Substack or Medium or somewhere, the wise Bulliam T, somehow that's going to be a trigger for mass action or something. People like Peter Josephs have been working on TMZ, Zeitgeist, the movement, or TZM for decades now. And where does it go? Nowhere. Does Schmachtenberger's wisdom adhere? No. But it gets him consulting gigs. It'll make him a buck. If you know how to turn it, you can make a living off of it. The people who are committed hunker down with people face to face. They argue things out, hash things out. They strategize. They figure out what they have to do, and then they fight. And they risk their lives. They risk their lives when they don't have to. It's one thing to risk your life when you're conscripted into the army and have to go to Vietnam. It's another thing to risk your life trying to stop the damn thing from happening in the first place. So we're in a pickle, and I don't see how this particular species of hominin, you know, Homo sapiens, in our particularly evolved state at the moment, psychophysically, culturally, and so on, are going to be able to make it. We're not Hansa. We're not in Tanzania hunting and gathering. That's not our thing. We can't name all the plants and animals and insects. It's not our thing. We're just not there. We're fit for civilization, for shopping malls, for Amazon, for looking stuff up with AI tools and whatnot. We want to make a salary, make a living, buy some stuff. Look at the advertisements on television in the United States during NFL games. If not, look at them during European football games. What kind of world is that? It's not the real world, right? It's a certain world that some people aspire to, but it doesn't exist. Just like Hollywood movies aren't real. They can be great stories, very profound. They can affect you emotionally, but they can't change the world. So I don't know if we're going to have any world-changing events. I really don't. I'm happy that all the people that I follow do their work. Sometimes it's very insightful or even eloquent and impactful, to me, emotionally or whatever. Most of the time it just sounds like something I was thinking about 10 years ago, and that isn't to say I'm smart or prophetic or prescient or anything like that. It's just that, yeah, I've been around these books for decades, mulling them about, adding to them to my library. And so the ideas are not new, and I can express them like other people can. But what does it get us? I think we need all the content creators to start saying, look, we need to do something. And this project has to be a movement of movements, and it has to be global. Sorry to say that. And anybody who doesn't think it does, who wants to have their back to the land intentional community in Arkansas or Texas or Oregon or wherever, can do that. They're not our people. They don't get us, and they don't want to get us. But I'll tell you this too. If you want to get to somebody, you have to go into their community, like that African-American guy did with the Ku Klux Klan. He went in and he talked to them, and they gave him their robes. So that's how you do it. You go into the intentional community or the back to the land intentional community, and you talk to those guys a lot and say, I'm not going to leave. I'm just here peacefully to talk to you. You can tell me your Neoplatonic bullshit and your theories on race and whatnot. It's not a debate. I just want to talk about it. We can look at the facts, the factual, evidential truth, or we can spin stories all day long. It's fine with me. But look, here I am. I'm a person too. I'm right here in front of you. You can feel my breath. You can see my eyes, my facial expressions. You can feel my energy. I am a person like you, and I care about you. And that's the way you get to people, not just by staying in your own cliques. So we're going to have to go out there. We're going to have to build these movements. And we also have to be Steve Bannon-esque. All these trolls and weirdos and vandals, we have to take a lesson from the lessons that they learned from Machiavelli or whoever, that, we want to win. We have something to win, which is the integrity and the health of life on earth and ourselves and our communities and family and friends. And it's worth it to win. We have to fight to win, and some of us are going to die trying. That's just the way it is. People make sacrifices to be an NFL football player or a UFC fighter. They spend a lot of time training that. And I think we're pretty lazy, pretty addicted. Most of us haven't admitted we have a problem. We're just trying to feel good about ourselves. I want to feel good about myself, so please don't say anything that's going to hurt my feelings or upset me or not make me feel good about myself. And for those people who want to be pure love and transcendental and live in the fifth dimension or something, fine, go do that. That's fine. You're not my enemy. I'm happy for you. But for those of us who really want to see a better world, and mind you, the world is going to fail anyway, but what are we going to build afterwards? What information packages are old men like me going to leave the younger people? What ideas, what thoughts, what emotions, what aspirations, what desires, what hopes, what dreams I've got to have something to say to the young people. Uh, I'm sorry, first of all, I was an idiot when I was your age. Hopefully you'll do better, but we'll see. You know, this is the way the world is and the way it goes, and it's gone for thousands and thousands of years. If you look at history, you'll see it over and over again. We're producing a movie franchise called Groundhog Day over and over and over again, only with more devastating tools. And soon we're going to lose all of our agency, all of our ability to make a choice with conviction, all of our imagination. It's going to be sucked right out of us. There won't be a space for an individual human being within community to create something profound and unique, to develop new avenues, new areas of exploration, and so on. It'll be gone. We're losing it. We're losing it right now. So we got to work. How do we do that? We need how-to, step by step. Get together, do this. And we have to listen to each other, because there are going to be a lot of different ways of building a movement of movements. I'm not the guy. I'm not one of the guys. I'm just talking here. But it has to be done. So I hope the younger people, content producers, gurus, wise men, wise women, you know, shamans, shamanesses, whatever, medicine women, I hope all of these people will start to think about that and videotape and put on the tubes what you're building and how you're building it, how you do your nonviolent actions, how you take these trolls out of power, the Dark Tetrad maniac players that have been in charge for thousands of years. How do we unseat them forever and do something else? Maybe it doesn't matter. And if it doesn't, I hope you're getting rich and having a really good time. And I hope you have a pretty good score. Okay, take good care. Bully MT out. I like this little village, so I'm going to try to cycle through it holding my Osmo pocket camera. Oh my goodness, it always scares me a bit, because if you brake too quick, you fall over. Cute little church there. I'm going to go this way today. Yeah, these kind of little villages are nice, attractive. I just have to decide which way to go. And I think I'm going to go this way. Yeah, definitely. Bom dia. Dog looks rather swarthy. The greenness this time of year, I just love it. So beautiful. Don't mind if I do indulge in the view. Oh no, I can smell the barn.